Welcome to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. Mr. Barber is a preacher, a ventriloquist, a barefoot runner, and writes 2 blogs. When Jerrie communicates, he encourages people, try not to learn very much. Find a mustard seed. In the next few minutes, try not to learn very much. Look for something you can do to move a mountain, remove a stumbling block, or provide a stepping stone for yourself or someone else. And now, here's Jerrie with this week's mustard seed.
One of the most helpful attitude shifts in my ministry has been my approach to criticism. In my early years of preaching, I avoided criticism. I thought anyone who worked as hard as I did didn't deserve to be confronted and corrected. In the next episodes of Gleaning Mustard Seeds, I want to share some things I've learned about criticism from the Bible and from experience. When I present this as a workshop, it takes about an hour and 15 minutes. But in this podcast, the first rule is try not to learn very much. To stay in the bounds of that guideline, I'll break it down into mustard seed segments. Franklin Jones said, "Honest criticism is hard to take, particularly from a relative, a friend, an acquaintance, or a stranger." That's my early experience. I've been in Dalton, Georgia about 8 months. The custodian, Art Zortman, befriended me by giving me a card he found in the pew after services the previous Sunday morning. It said, "Our preacher is too young, too immature, too trite. I get nothing from his services, and now he is my Sunday school teacher too." The card was attached to a ballpoint pen with the lady's name engraved on it. The next service, I gave her the pen back with no comment. I've observed that I'm not the only one who dislikes criticism. Since the spring of 1995, I've taught a leadership class for men called God's Great Servants. I asked the church to give me names of men and young men who are leaders or might become leaders in this congregation within the next 3 months to the next 30 years. I write each of those men a letter describing the class and asking for a reply either way, whether they want to participate or not. Here's a response I received dated December 9, 1999. "Jerrie, I will be perfectly honest with you. I am not, nor will I ever be interested in becoming a leader at this church. I'm not interested in your class. I once was a deacon at this church, but have no good memories, only bad ones. People never satisfied, always complaining. I've experienced much the same in my personal life. That's why I'd rather dig the ditch and let someone else get the praise. Thanks for your understanding." I was so excited to receive a message with that much feeling and honesty, I called and asked if we could have lunch so I could hear the rest of the story. Criticism is powerful and affects people in many ways. But criticism didn't start in 1999, nor is it always enemies who criticize. When Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "The Lord God of Israel said, 'Let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness,' Pharaoh increased the workload of God's people in Egypt. When the Israelite taskmasters met Moses and Aaron after this encounter, rather than saying, 'Thank you for coming and rescuing us,' they complained to them in Exodus 5:21. 'Let the Lord God look on you and judge, because you have made us abhorrent,' literally to stink, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to kill us." It got worse when Moses sent the 12 spies into Canaan. 10 of the 12 said, "We can't do it. They're giant, we're grasshoppers." Caleb gave the minority report in Numbers 13:30. Let us go up at once and take possession, for we're well able to overcome it. But the voice of the 10 prevailed. I call this a day when democracy didn't work. The people cried all that night after the 10-2 vote against entering the Promised Land. Listen to the criticism. And all the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, If only we had died in the land of Egypt, or if only we had died in this wilderness. Why has the Lord brought us to this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and children should become victims? Would it not be better for us to return to Egypt? So they said to one another, Let us select a leader and return to Egypt. Numbers 14, 2-4. In times of stress, people want to get it back like it used to be. Joshua and Caleb made a final appeal. The land we pass through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their protection has departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. The response of the critics. And all the congregation said to stone them with stones. Numbers 14:10. That's what I call hard criticism. A person may be faithful, trust in God, and encourage others to follow the right way. That isn't insulation against criticism. But these were Old Testament examples. In the next episode, we'll begin with examples in the New Testament. Did God's people get criticized then? I will begin discussing how to accept, invite, and enjoy criticism.
Thank you for listening to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. If you found a mustard seed, send a text or email with a link to a friend. This podcast was brought to you by Braden Parsons Photography. From family photos to landscape photography and everything in between, Braden uses his passion for capturing meaningful moments to create art and embody memories that will be cherished for a lifetime. Whether you want photos for your family, an event, or even want to browse Braden's portfolio for prints you can buy as art for your home or office, go to bradenparsons.com to explore the creativity and inspiration that comes from Braden Parsons Photography. You can also contact Braden directly at bradencparsons@gmail.com to discuss how to turn your photography needs into your most adored keepsakes. There are links in the show notes to connect with Braden. Thank you for listening. Jerrie looks forward to next week as we continue to collect and plant mustard seeds.